Welcome to Memphians on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie White. The American Lebanese Syrian Associated Charities, globally known as ALSAC, is the fundraising and awareness organization for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Its sole mission is to raise the funds and awareness necessary to operate and maintain St. Jude. ALSAC is one of the largest healthcare-related charities in the United States. Today, I'd like to welcome to the show Richard Shadiak, President and CEO of ALSAC. Richard, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Stephanie. Great to be here.
We're so glad to have you. Now, September has been dubbed the Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And I must highlight the fact that St. Jude has spent more than half of a century finding cures and saving children, and its groundbreaking research has helped push the survival rate for childhood cancer from just 20% in 1962 to more than 80% today. So before we take a deep dive into ALSAC, can you start with the organization of founder Danny Thomas's dream hospital?
So Danny Thomas dreamed of a day when no child would die from cancer. And he established St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. First, he had to establish the organization that I lead called ALSAC, because ALSAC's task back in the 1950s was actually to raise the money so that they could build St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So my organization was formed in 1957 as a way to say thank you to God and the United States of America for giving Danny Thomas and my father the opportunity to come to this country and to make a life. And they manifested that thanks by building and now operating St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Okay, so Richard, can you talk a little bit about the impact by the numbers in terms of patient treatment?
Sure. So let's go back to your survival rate question too. So you referenced that in your opening. And I want us to think about the fact that the most common form of childhood cancer was leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And when we opened our doors in 1962, it had a survival rate of 4%. So think about it, 96 out of 100 kids that would get diagnosed with cancer would pass away and pass away quickly. Things were so dire in the 50s and the 60s that doctors literally were told to pass by the doors of kids' rooms that had childhood cancer. And we wanted to reverse that. And I think we should always ground ourselves in what the reality was like back in the 50s and the 60s. Because by the 1970s, in the early to mid 70s, because of the work at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, right here in Memphis, Tennessee, the survival rate for that incurable disease, leukemia, which was at 4%, had gone over 50% due to the groundbreaking work at St. Jude and Dr. Donald Pinkel. And then, you take the overall childhood cancer survival rate from 20% to 80%. But here's the message, Stephanie. That means 1 in 5 children that are diagnosed today are still going to pass away. And cancer remains the leading cause of death by disease in U.S. kids today. So while we've made great progress, and we're super proud of that progress, we think about all the time that we've got a long ways to go here in the United States, and the picture is much bleaker as we expand out globally. And our founder said, no child should die in the dawn of life. He didn't say no child in Memphis, he said no child should die in the dawn of life. And we take that to mean no child anywhere should die in the dawn of life.
And Rick, what does it take to operate St. Jude on an annual basis? I would imagine something this large would really require a lot.
Yeah, the numbers are daunting. So the hospital operating budget is more than $1 billion this year. That does not count capital. So we're on a multi-billion-dollar expansion of our mission now. And this is a way to look at it. It now costs around $4 million per day to operate and capitalize or build St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And between 75 and 82%, probably much closer to 80% this year of that money has to be raised from the public, and that's ALSAC's job.
We are just getting started. After the break, we will talk more with Richard Shadiak Jr. about ALSAC, the fundraising organization of St. Jude. Please stay tuned with us.
We all exist here on this planet to benefit others. That's how my wife and I feel when we give to St. Jude every month. Our giving to St. Jude is right up there with our mortgage. That's the priority that we put on giving to St. Jude.
Yo les puedo decir que es la satisfacción más grande que tengo. Es que yo estoy dando vida al ser un donante.
We just think of how we would feel if our kids had cancer. It's giving back for the blessings that we have been given in our life.
It's a cause that should resonate with anyone who believes that a child should be able to live a long, healthy life.
There's something about putting your arms around a child and bringing comfort. That's something that we can all agree on.
When everyone comes together for this good, nothing can stop it.
Begin a new and exciting career as a truck driver with training at Olympic Career Training Institute. Get your Class A CDL truck driving license in just 4 weeks and starting salary making up to $50,000 a year. Must be 21 years of age and have a valid driver's license. The class is also background friendly and job placement assistance is available. Class is filling up fast. Secure your enrollments. Don't wait. Call today. 901-350-6284. Olympic Career Training Institute.
Hello, welcome to Christ Community.
I immediately felt something different. You know, it's loving care because loving is living up to their name. It's complete care with medical, dental, behavioral health, and pharmacy right in my community. Loving care for your body, mind, and spirit. Call 901-842-3160 or log on to christcommunityhealth.org for an appointment. Christ Community Health Services. Healing with soul.
Welcome back to Memphians on the Move. I am joined by Richard Shadiak Jr., President and CEO of ALSAC. So Richard, would you give us an overview of ALSAC, because we know that that is the fundraising organization for St. Jude?
ALSAC is American, Lebanese, Syrian Associated Charities. So we exist solely to raise the money and create the awareness for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So we are blessed, Stephanie, to have over 11 million donors that support us every single year. We conduct about 31,000 fundraising events all across the country. We have almost 100 major corporate partners and brands that rally behind us to support St. Jude. And we're also very fortunate to be supported by literally a legion of volunteers, almost 1 million people around the country that help us raise the money necessary to operate St. Jude.
So tell us about the unique operating model. We do know that in order to operate something this large, that you may have something that's huge, but you're able to bring it back in so that it is very intricate in how you're operating with everyone.
Yeah, you know, I tell people all the time, I think this should be a Harvard Business School study, okay? So Danny Thomas, again, who had a 10th grade education, I want us all to think about that. So he didn't like he had a master's degree or a PhD. He came up with this idea that we were gonna have 2 separate organizations. So we were gonna have a fundraising and awareness organization that was gonna take care of raising the money, and then we were going to have another organization, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and these doctors and scientists were to be laser focused on taking care of kids and finding cures for kids with catastrophic illnesses.
So what are some of the ways that some new donors can get involved, or give us some more ways that the current donors can get involved in helping to support St. Jude?
Sure, so the first thing you can do is you can go on our website and you can figure out a variety of ways to engage with us, and that's stjude.org, that's STJUDE.org. But you can participate in a fitness event. We've got a big walk run that's taking place all across the country in the coming weeks. You can participate in a marathon or a 5K or a 10K. You can attend one of our golf tournaments, which take place all across the United States. And right here in Memphis, we're blessed to be the part of the World Golf Championships, the FedEx St. Jude Invitational, thanks to our great friends at FedEx. You can attend a dinner. You can conduct a grassroots fundraising opportunity for us. You can support your child through the Mathathon program, or a college student through our Up Till Dawn programs. So we provide you a variety of ways that you can engage with us. You can volunteer, or you can simply go to our website and make a donation. I really want to encourage everybody to become a partner in hope, and these are our sustainers. These are the folks that give to us every single month, and they allow us, to dream about doing bigger and bigger things to impact more and more children, to conduct more and more, breakthrough research.
All right, well, we will have more with Richard Shadyac Jr., President and CEO of ALSAC, after a message from Epicenter, which is the hub of entrepreneurship.
Today is my grand opening. Just the start of a new beginning for Big Mamas and Grannies. Big Mamas and Grannies was actually my big mama and my granny. Everything that they instilled in me, I want to give to others. We specialize in Southern soul to American tradition with a Cajun and Creole twist.
You have to eat the food.
That chicken salad is remarkable.
The macaroni and cheese is literally the best thing you've ever put into your mouth.
My favorite food is macaroni and cheese.
Tanaka represents where passion and perseverance meets resources. Memphis has tons of talented people with gifts. They just don't have the resources to fund those gifts. So I think Tanaka's story represents what Memphis can be.
Pathway Lending is one of those organizations that provide the necessary financing to women-owned businesses and black-owned businesses, even veterans as well. We're in a place that we can provide financing necessary to grow a community from within.
Pathway is a really important partner because they're nationally recognized experts in the distribution of capital to emerging businesses. Together, we solve a very significant challenge for entrepreneurs in Memphis.
Everything that you see in here today, the funding from Pathway Lending allowed me to do that. This has really allowed my vision and my dreams to really come true. A lot of times because you're a woman, you're seen unable to do. So I've always had that determination of nothing can stop me. I'm gonna keep pushing. I wish that everybody in the city of Memphis knew about Epicenter and Pathway Lending. If I'd never gotten a phone call from Epicenter, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't.
In 2012, President Barack Obama proclaimed that September would be National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Why is this important, and what can you tell us, Richard, about the latest research since then?
I think it's important for a variety of reasons. I think we needed to put the focus on childhood cancer. Look, we should have a focus on adult cancer too, but when we think about the actual lives that are impacted and the longevity of lives that are impacted when it comes to childhood cancer, we needed more of an intense focus. So I want us to paint a picture here. So across the United States, there'll be about 16,000 cases of childhood cancer. And we talked earlier, Stephanie, that we've made remarkable progress, but it remains the leading cause of death by disease in U.S. kids today. Now, we want to expand that perspective and talk about the globe. Around the globe, over 400,000 kids are going to have cancer this year, okay? Around the globe, though, in low and middle income countries, over 90% of those cases are going to occur there. And in many instances, those kids don't even have access to modern medicine. Around the globe, while we have a survival rate of 80%, around the globe in low and middle income countries, that survival rate can be as low as 20% or less, which means that 4 in 5 children diagnosed are going to pass away around the globe. We think that's completely unacceptable at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And while we have a problem that we've partially solved here in the United States, okay, we have a moral obligation to export that knowledge and try to help kids everywhere. The single biggest determinant of a child's healthcare outcome is where that child lives.
Okay, so Rick, you have told us how people can support St. Jude financially. Do you have some other ways that you would suggest that people can support the Cancer Awareness Month in terms of how they can be more upfront with what they're doing in support of cancer?
Absolutely, Stephanie. So they can get involved right here in Memphis on September 28th, Saturday, around 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to be doing our walk run to end childhood cancer. It'll take place right on the campus of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and then we'll walk around our beautiful downtown here in Memphis. And we're trying to get over 10,000 people to come, and we want to raise over $1 million right here in Memphis, Tennessee. There's going to be walks going going on all across the country in 63 plus communities all across the United States. And we need to raise in excess of $13 million through those walks, again, to support our mission. So I want to encourage everybody to come. It only costs $10 to walk. It costs $20 if you want to race and be competitive and things like that. But I want to encourage you to become a hero. Those are folks that are not just walking or running, but they're running and walking for a reason, okay? And that is their fundraising to help St. Jude Children's Research Hospital take care of these kids and continue to do that cutting edge research.
So if you aren't able to physically participate in the walk or run, how can people still support in order to make sure that we reach this goal that you've set?
They go to stjude.org, that's stjude.org, and they can make a donation right there.
All righty. And to confirm even further why National Cancer Awareness Month is so important, we'll speak with a St. Jude parent whose son is a cancer survivor. Stay with us for more Memphians on the Move.
The Greater Memphis Medical Device Council. We were formed with the mission of creating a pipeline of sustainable employees for the industry as a whole. There are more than 40 medical device companies that are in the orthopedic and spinal implant and instrument business here in the Greater Memphis area. Those companies employ more than 6,500 people directly. And those careers that the medical device manufacturers are looking for are people that will actually do the machining of the raw materials to create the implants, people who will do the metal finishing to put the right surface finish on those implants so that they can be ready to go into the human body, people that do the inspection to make sure that the products meet the specifications in terms of the dimensions and the finish and the level of cleanliness of the products. And then also the people that do the packaging, which is a very specific job. It's not just putting something into a box, there's a lot more that goes into that. In the end, there is a great sense of satisfaction about being able to do a very specific job correctly all day long and knowing that you're playing a role in helping to put somebody's life back together. Yes, the jobs are available. There are positions that are open. The opportunity is there. The market is growing, and there are additional companies coming into the Memphis area, and they need skilled employees. Memphis has the second largest concentration of medical device companies in the United States. We want that to continue to grow, and a lot of those companies have employees that have been there for a long time because they were great places to work. I would advise everybody to give the medical device career a good look because there's multiple opportunities for ways to contribute.
Welcome back to Memphians on the Move, as I am joined by Cindy, whose son Chandler began to feel unwell with neck and back pain back in 2015. Cindy, welcome, and thank you so much for being on Memphians on the Move so that you could share Chandler's story with us.
Absolutely, thank you.
So first, when did you notice that something was happening with your son?
So this is way back in 2015, and Chandler started with some very benign and very simplistic symptoms. He had headaches, he had backaches. He's my fifth child down, so I'm not necessarily going to go to the doctor immediately. In fact, Chandler likes to joke and say I made him live with cancer for a month while waiting to go to the doctor. But it started to get a little worse. He started to get sick in the mornings, and the most alarming thing is when he started having double vision. So we lived in Virginia at the time. Virginia schools go through about the middle of June. So he was finishing up the school year, exams were coming, and he couldn't see without seeing double. So his exams were taken with one eye closed. And when we saw that happen, we realized that this isn't just a normal childhood sickness. Took him to a neurologist who said, you know what, we need to go ahead and get an MRI done. And when he did the MRI, we were supposed to just wait for some results from him to call, but he came in with another doctor, plopped down, and I'm just going to tell you, when you're expecting a phone call and two doctors come in to deliver the news, it's probably not going to be news that you want to hear, and it wasn't. They originally just said brain tumor, but with testing and the things that had to be done to try to diagnose specifically what it was medulloblastoma, and that is the most common malignant brain tumor in children. And at that point, they gave Chandler a 20% chance of survivability. So he did have those 2 brain surgeries in Virginia where we lived, but they didn't have the protocol to treat him there. We already knew about St. Jude. Who doesn't know about St. Jude, right? And we got in touch with the doctors here at St. Jude and were able to get them to agree to let him come.
So do you remember the feeling that you had when your family was told not to worry about money and that it would be taken care of so that you could just focus on Chandler?
Right. So I'm going to be honest, when your child has cancer, money's not going to be an object. And nobody can afford the cancer treatments, nobody can, but what wouldn't you do for your child? You would do anything to save your child, and we're no different. The fact that we had 0 bills, it's just one less thing to have to worry about. We didn't have to worry about where the money was coming from. We just had to focus completely on Chandler.
Now, why was the St. Jude Marathon in 2017 of such significance to your family?
That's a big deal. So before Chandler got sick, he was a cross-country runner. And I did marathons and half marathons, and he wanted to do it. So we had finally signed him up for his first, but he got sick. How cool was it that 4 months after he got his feeding tube taken out, the same year that he ended his chemotherapy, my Chandler was able to run his very first half marathon and cross that finish line, which is the coolest thing. Not only doing something that he really had his heart set on doing, but doing it for the hospital that saved his life. That was an amazing, amazing year.
Well, Cindy, I certainly commend your son's bravery and you and your family's journey, and we thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we know that Memphis is going to support and get behind with their golden opportunities to support. So now we will have final thoughts with ALSAC President and CEO Richard Shadiak after a message from the desk of Greater Memphis Chamber President Beverly Robertson.
In response to the resounding voices of both job seekers and employers and the expressed need to bridge the gap between talent and opportunities, the Greater Memphis Chamber will convene regional stakeholders from the workforce ecosystem with a major workforce summit entitled Upskill 901, with goals of upskilling 10,000 individuals with technical and essential skills and exposing them to high-demand careers and direct employment opportunities. We will do this over a 12 to 36-month period. We're hosting this 2-day summit, which will include breakfast and lunch, keynote addresses from experts, breakout sessions, and CEO roundtables on day 1, and a Preparation Meets Opportunity career fair on day 2. Here, attendees will be provided multiple resources from on-site registration for programs to employer screenings for open positions. For more information on Upskill 901, the Workforce Summit, visit memphischamber.com.
Today, we're all getting together and we're raising money to end childhood cancer.
This September,
it was one of the best days of my life. It was a great experience.
Thousands of people
making the world a better place.
But we're together for a common good.
Across the nation.
Thousands of team members and their families are able to participate and come together. Families helping families.
Will come together.
Money that's raised to support these events is what supported our family. It's the reason why we didn't have a bill, so I would like to say thank you.
With St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Cancer affects all of us at some point in our lives. My sister was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma.
My son is now in remission from leukemia.
To end childhood cancer.
St. Jude does miraculous work.
They are saving lives. They freely share their research with hospitals all across the world.
This is our way of supporting the fight to end childhood cancer.
Join the St. Jude Walk Run to end childhood cancer.
Let's end childhood cancer together.
Let's end childhood cancer together.
Terminemos con el cáncer infantil todos juntos.
Visit us online to find your local event at stjude.org/walkrun.
Richard, this has been amazing insight about ALSAC and St. Jude today. What are some final takeaways that you want our viewers to have of the great research of the hospital in terms of continued support?
Well, look, I think I'd like to break it down into two categories. I'd like them to think about the kids, the moms and the dads that come to us after receiving the most devastating news that any parent could receive, that their child has cancer. And I want my fellow Memphians to constantly think about how courageous those kids are, how amazing the moms and dads are in terms of the support that they provide. And I want all of Memphis to know that so many moms and dads like Cindy and her amazing son Chandler have told me how blown away they are by complete and total strangers that want to give to help their child survive cancer, or that want to volunteer because they want to help their child survive cancer. Total strangers. You know, it's the beautiful manifestation that I get to see every single day of the parable of the Good Samaritan, to love and care for our neighbors. And that's what ALSAC was founded on, the parable of the Good Samaritan. And then I would say also that we can only do the research that we do because of the support of the public. You know, within the last few weeks, we all read in the papers or digitally about the brand new magnet, the world's most powerful magnet being delivered to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Think about that, folks. Right here in our community, we have the world's most powerful magnet. Why? To try to find additional ways of curing cancer, to try to touch more and more lives. We don't look at this as pieces of equipment. We look at these as instruments of hope. That's what these things are, because a magnet is going to give scientists insights into all sorts of proteins and things that I don't understand as the CEO of ALSAC, that will help them better understand this disease. And you know, Dr. Downing has a saying that the CEO of St. Jude has a saying that he uses all the time. If not St. Jude, then who? If not St. Jude, then who? And that's because if we don't do it, if St. Jude Children's Research Hospital does not do this research that's ultimately a game changer, that's taken survival rates from 20% to 80%, we got to get it to 100%, or we got to get it as close as we can, nobody else is going to do it. So the public, Memphis, you all help make that happen, and that's what I'd want everybody to know.
All right, so Richard, as we're wrapping up, in terms of donor impact, what is the bird's eye view summary?
In terms of donor impact, Chandler. You just heard about Chandler, Cindy's incredible son, who's now a sophomore at Ole Miss. He's thriving in college. That's the success story.
Rick, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And the mission of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is to advance cures and means of prevention for pediatric catastrophic diseases through research and treatment. Consistent with founder Danny Thomas's vision, no child is denied treatment based on race, religion, or family's ability to pay. And this is where we ask your help. Visit stjude.org and get inspired by the patients. Make your donation today by signing up for the September 28th 5K walk run. We'll see you next time on Greater Memphis Chamber Presents Memphians on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie White. Thanks for watching.